asset that any political party has in Britain, our leader, Nigel Farage.
They must have opened the bar or something. Good morning, everybody. There are some that may say it would have been better for Michael Meach's funeral to have happened before the writ was moved, but that's not any of our affair. The writ was moved at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, so here we are, and here we go again. My life over the course of the last 6 months has been pretty empty. There's been no election campaign tonight, but now we've got another one. Yeah, I'm raring to go, and I think we're going to do very well in this by-election. Here's why. The issues on which we fought the general election, namely the importance of our relationship with the European Union, its impact on businesses, lives and communities in Britain, and in particular our deep concern about open door immigration. These are issues that since May have rocketed up the agenda. There's something like 15 and 16% of people now put immigration and border controls as their #1 issue, more than there were 6 months ago. And perhaps that's not surprising. We've had record official numbers for net migration, we've had the Calais crisis, and of course the ongoing EU migrant crisis. So for all of those reasons, I think in policy terms, the country is now talking about the issues that UKIP's always been keen to talk about, and that politically will help us in this election. You'll notice that last time Francis Arbour stood for us here, he got over 20% of the vote and came a good second. That vote, I think, is rock solid for UKIP. We were just ahead of the Conservatives, and I feel in this by-election there's a very big chunk of that Conservative vote that UKIP can target. There is no incentive for Conservatives to vote Conservative in this by-election. They have already got a majority government. There are many Conservatives who feel that Cameron's so-called renegotiation isn't really moving in the right direction. And for those Tory voters, there's a chance here for them to send Cameron and the government a message. Of course, there's also not the fear of that woman north of the border, and she did make rather a big difference to the overall general election result. So I feel the UKIP vote is solid. I think there's much of a Tory vote we can target, but perhaps most important of all, we're here in what has always been a very safe Labour seat, and we believe there are very large numbers of old Labour voters in this constituency who frankly are pretty appalled by Mr Corbyn's stance on many issues. What I mean is his consistent cozying up to the IRA over many years. What I mean is his desire to give the Falkland Islands to Argentina. What I mean is he didn't even have the good grace to sing God Save the Queen in front of the last remnants of the Battle of Britain. What I mean is he wants to abolish the army. And I think there is a basic question. Is Jeremy Corbyn patriotic? Does he believe in this country? Does he believe in the people of this country? And is he prepared to lift a finger on issues like immigration to make the lives of ordinary folk that little bit better? So I feel that we really can bite very, very hard into that old Labour vote who frankly bear little in common with the North London trendy, hard left Labour man. And I believe our candidate, John, and you've seen him before because he fought the by-election in the neighbouring constituency. He came very close to one of the biggest election upsets we've ever seen. Had he succeeded, the whole UK might look different because Miliband would have gone and everything would have been very different indeed. But I'm delighted that John is running. We as a party want John in the House of Commons. I've campaigned with him before. John connects with ordinary voters. He speaks their language. He's from this part of the world. And I'm absolutely delighted that he has come top out of a very competitive process to be the UKIP candidate. And I should be here with John out knocking on doors. I'm not saying we're going to win this. That would be a hell of a prediction to make. But I am saying we're going to give this our best shot. And I am saying we're going to run them blooming close. And you never know, we might just get over the line.
Yeah.
John?
Thank you, Nigel. Well, lots of familiar faces out there. It only seems like yesterday I was fighting next door in Hayward and Middleton. And what I realised very early on in that campaign the #1 issue on the doorsteps was uncontrolled immigration. And many of you will remember that the one thing the Labour Party did not want to talk about at all to the media and to their constituents was about immigration. And there was a good reason for that, because they know they're guilty of having triggered uncontrolled immigration over the last 15 years. And it's had a big impact on working class wages and jobs. And we were willing to go out there and talk about the issues that were concerning working class people in Haywood and Middleton. And I've got a gut feeling that it's going to be exactly the same here in Oldham, West and Royton. And again, the only thing Labour seem to talk about these days is the NHS. It's their political crutch. And for me, the Labour Party almost seem to want the NHS to be in crisis, because that then gives them a narrative. Well, let me make it clear. The NHS will be safe in UKIP's hands. We want it to remain free at the point of delivery. And we're going to go out there and make that clear to people that we see the NHS as being a key part of our society. It's an agreement we have with people that when they most need the support of the medical services, it's going to be free at the point of delivery. So, let's clear up any misunderstandings or any attempt by the Labour Party to sort of claim we're not behind the NHS. We're fully behind the NHS. And unlike the Labour Party, we're going to be reminding voters that the Labour Party played a key role in the privatisation of the NHS. They don't want to talk about this because, of course, they've made a lot of city fat cats very rich indeed by doing many useless PFI deals that are going to cost many hospital trusts hundreds of millions of pounds in interest payments and fees. And in fact, it would have been a lot cheaper had the government built those hospitals themselves. But what the Labour Party did was do the very thing they said they don't exist to do, which is to make bankers and city fat cats very rich indeed. So, bring it on, Labour, if you want to talk about the NHS. Your record on the NHS is not great, and if we want to get into talking about the NHS, we can look at Wales, where Labour run the NHS, and it's a disaster. Yeah. Now, Nigel just touched on immigration. As we know, things have got out of control in Europe, and the very things that we spent years talking about are sadly coming to pass. And I think we need to get control of our country back, and the only way we're going to do that is by leaving the EU. So we want to go and tell the people of Oldham, West and Royton that by electing me as their MP, this will be the start of our fight to get our country back. And I'm going to give it 110% between now and polling day. And many people thought we had no chance in Haywood and Middleton. Look how close we got. I think we can win this. Thank you.
There's Alex. There you are. Alex from the Oldham Chronicle first.
Hi, John Alex from the Chronicle. First, I'm going to ask you a two-part question. Michael Meacher won the election in May with a huge majority of over 14,000. Do you realistically think you can bridge that gap, and if so, how can you do it?
Well,